where they lease their equipment, they will send it back to their supplier to then swap it for another piece of equipment. And then there was also from Tim from S&D said that there's a lot more easier, so it's easier to get parts after they've grown out of their main use, as then they're a bit more cheaper and a bit more accessible as they've already come out of the market a bit more. So the arguments for replacing is that I interviewed a company called Flow, and we talked to their representative Sarah. She explained to us their systems on why they replace, such as them needing newer equipment for testing, as well as their systems don't really meet requirements for refurbished devices. So, to conclude my findings, I believe that refurbishment is better for companies. This is due to many benefits, and it's not just a company but globally, such as saving costs on expensive equipment or even helping against e-waste pollution. And although refurbishment is good, it doesn't necessarily mean it's for everyone, as some companies may not be able to meet their system requirements, or smaller companies such as Flow which are self-funded, may not want to do that as they need their own funding. So in the upcoming slides, we talk about my project planning. So the company that I chose to try to recommend digitally transform was Fareham College. They're a further education institute that accommodate for 3,446 students across 3 campuses, all providing services and purposes. To get the information about their systems, I had a meeting with Neil McQueen, who supplied the information on how they get their equipment, how they dispose of their equipment, as well as their fundings for their equipment. So Neil told me that they currently have a manual system in place where they will lease their equipment from the supplier, and I plan to implement a way we're working and suggesting automated systems for them to digitally transform the way they refurbish. So in this I'm going to be saying about what decisions I made and suggestions that I think would benefit them as a company. So to start with, there was I would say to buy actual refurbished equipment and parts of their devices to then refurbish themselves. I also suggested that they use a waterfall method to do it in a sequential order for the project, so they could then do it one at a time. I also thought of a feature for the software that would be made for them, where it would tell them what equipment needs refurbishing when, and this. Yeah, and then from the recommendations, I've also said they should still use stuff such as waste collection, and that they should refurbish because it will get them away from suppliers. So if the supplier ever shut down, that they would be able to fund themselves a bit better and not have to worry about finding another supplier. This is the Gantt chart I made for my project plan. So the way I recommended that they implement this was by having regular communication with Fareham College to ensure that all the requirements are being met for them. Then I recommended that they do pilot, because then by doing this, that equipment isn't being replaced randomly or without schedule. It will allow for separate runs to be done at a time. And it can also mean that even certain parts on devices could be refurbished. And this changeover would not be like an instant changeover, it would be over time. They would slowly do it room by room, ensuring that they've got all the data when they refurbished it at last. To conclude discussion, I would say it would give them a bit more freedom with their devices and upgrades, allowing them to do what they want with the devices without having to worry about giving it back to the supplier with it being not what the supplier had or would want. And it would also, if they then sold on their refurbished equipment, they could also make more profit from that, as they're buying it in and then refurbishing it and selling it on so they can get more profits from it. But one downside would be that it can be quite expensive to refurbish, as certain parts can be hard to get a hold of. Any questions? Can you please do the feedback form, please?
Thank you very